Well, everyone, you might be trying to figure out what the differences are between a USA version of a Samsung Galaxy and maybe a different international version of a Samsung Galaxy phone. So think of phones like a Japanese Samsung Galaxy or Korean Samsung Galaxy versus a United States version of this phone. There's a lot of different things that are actually very, very different between a lot of these different devices. The first thing I recommend thinking about is that at the core, the features are very, very similar. So you're really not going to notice too many differences if you're going through from let's just say a US, Samsung Galaxy and a Samsung Galaxy from a different device or a different country. But the big thing you have to keep in mind is that depending on which particular phone you have, they may not be unlocked. So if you buy a specific unlocked US, Samsung Galaxy, there's a high likelihood that phone will only be unlocked within this particular country. If I buy a Korean Samsung Galaxy, that's probably going to be unlocked for that area. But if I try to use that Korean Samsung Galaxy and it's not internationally unlocked, I may not be able to use it inside of America. So keep that in mind. The big thing between a Samsung Galaxy from this country to the other ones is that even if it's regionally locked, it may not be internationally unlocked, and that phone may not have the bands to actually support it within different countries. So that's the very, very big thing to keep in mind. If I'm an American and if I'm buying a Korean Samsung Galaxy, I need to verify and make sure that particular phone is going to work in my area. Now, one of the biggest differences between an international model, so a Samsung Galaxy from different countries, whether you're buying a super old one or even the latest one, there can be a lot of big differences when it comes down to basically the chipset inside. So Samsung makes their own Exynos chipsets. These are very good chipsets. They're not very good, but they're good enough for the most part. They get the job done. But historically, these have always been worse in almost every single way than the Qualcomm Snapdragon chipsets. So because of that, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to go ahead and buy an international version of these Android phones if you can swing for the ones from that basically have that Snapdragon chipset. The Snapdragon chipsets are very good. They're very, very powerful. They have a ton of power within them, and almost every single time it makes a lot more sense to go and buy one of those devices than the Samsung Home builds Exynos chipsets. And year over year, basically every single type of situation I've ever seen of this, it always have made sense, basically from what I've seen, to go ahead and buy something like one of the Samsung phones from America than buying one of the ones from a different country. So that's another thing to keep in mind. On top of that, for some older versions of Samsung Galaxies, maybe even some of the newest ones as well, is that with the international versions of some of these particular Samsung Galaxy phones, it looks like there's some that only support eSIM, and there's no physical slot within them. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You might be lucky and be able to find some phones that do have physical SIM slots. Some either don't have eSIM or they may have eSIM. So that might be another thing to keep in mind too. So those are basically the main things to keep in mind. Beyond that, if you're buying a Samsung Galaxy S24 from America, you're buying one from, let's say, Korea, really the only differences you might see is that maybe the chipsets might be slightly different, but the core features will still be exactly the same. So from that side, you don't really have too much to worry about, but that is, in and of itself, once again, one of the other things to kind of keep in mind there. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. The like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.